Hi guys, I'm Nu-Trix, and today it's not your normal test of a product video. I am starting a new series of video about making my own EP. I know it's one of the questions I get sometimes is how do you set up everything? Yes, but then how do you go about making your songs? So what I'm going to talk in the next month is about making my 2020 EP. I picked 6 songs that seems to be complete. And when I say seems to be complete is that I believe that my songs are never complete. It's more like I'm going to take a snapshot of the 2020 version of it, and I could revisit in 5 years and I would still have new ideas for it. So I'm going to make a snapshot of where I am with these songs in 2020 and release them as an EP, these 6 songs. Now, what's interesting is in this process, there's many reasons I want to do this way, and I'll explain how I'm going to approach this. I'm using the iPad a lot to create, and then sometimes I don't want to finish my songs in the iPad itself. My last EP should be here. Last EP was entirely on the iPad, just on the iPad, and only on the iPad. The only part that left the iPad is when I actually went from Gadget in the iPad to another app in the iPad, and I went through Dropbox to save. But I was still in the iPad, but I just physically saved onto something else and then loaded back into Audio Pro. But today, what I'm looking into doing is I want to have 3 versions of each of my songs. And either they're going to become 3 versions, like 3 versions of the EP, or they're going to be kind of one after the other, the evolution of the same song. What I mean by that, the 3 versions will be technically different. One is the iPad version, so the one made with Gadget and mixed with Gadget or mixed with Audio Pro. Okay. Second one is I take Gadget songs and I export them into Live as a MIDI file, not as a loop of samples. So as a MIDI file, and into my computer in Live, I then trigger all the gear to redo another version of the song. It will not be the same, of course, because I don't have the same sounds and I've got other options. And honestly, I've been working my whole day into making that hardware version, I can call it. And by doing so, it opens up other ideas of production. I've got ideas that I didn't have when I was working only on the iPad. And it's not the iPad itself. It's just the fact that now I'm in front of other sound devices that have other options, other type of sounds. And then I've got other ideas that I did not have on the iPad. So now my personal question that I have is, should I have just to recreate the same song and just to compare? But honestly, this is not a scientific test. This is basically me trying to understand and expand my creative options in making this new EP. And I'm still not sure. Will I put one EP in 3 versions of each song, or will I actually release 3 different EP? I'm still playing with this in my mind. What I have today is I'll talk about the first step, which is how to get a song out of Gadget and into Live as a MIDI file, and then trying to recreate this or use hardware to play back the same song. My other version I'll do after that is to do a version of Live playing only virtual synthesizers, not hardware. So my 3 version will be iPad only, Mac only, and hardware played by Live. These are going to be the 3 versions. So let's start with the first one, which is you have to be in Gadget. In Gadget, I've got my song. My song is called 2020 EP. I name it this because I can follow it in the list of songs I've got. Solid point for 2019 because I started to work on it in 2019. So I'm going to finish it and close it in 2020. So what you do is you go into the top left corner, the little kind of sheet of paper. You go export, and then there's a choice called, of course, it's Gadget, iTunes, Dropbox. What I want is Ableton Live Project. You press on this one, you have a choice of audio, MIDI, VST, and audio unit. We want to pick MIDI, and then you click Dropbox. And it's as simple as that. It is really simple. At that point, it's really just going to take that performance and send it into or save it into a Ableton Live file. So what you're going to get is a list of, actually, let's look at this. Actually, no. Before we're going to listen to the version on the Mac, let's listen to the version on here. I'm just going to make you play some parts so you hear type of song, type of sound you have in this song. It's a very light song, breathy. Just show you. Let's go further, like this one here. Just an idea. Okay, that's kind of the version I've got on the iPad, okay? I'm not going to play the whole thing, but you get an idea of what the style it is. So I'm going to stop this. And I'm going to go on the laptop. I'm going to start recording on the laptop also. So the file you get are these clips, like that. Now, this version that you have in front of you, I worked on it, so I basically assigned it to the right devices. And that took a lot of time. That's the problem. Because when you get this, what you have is all the clips are there. You have the structure that is mostly the right one. I say mostly because sometimes the mute tracks that you have in the gadget are not muted in here. So you really have to run the two at the same time to verify that the right one are muted at the right moment, so you don't have the wrong structure of the song. So, and the length of each is not necessarily the right one. So if the first clip in Gadget, you would play it 4 times. In this case, it might only play 1 time. So you would have in real time to switch these so it triggers the right way. But I mean, pretty cool. It's still going to be very quick to get that. So the longest part was to repatch some of the studio stuff to be sure to have everything that it could be triggered from the MacBook in this case. And remember the last video I talked about, the one I talked about hardware being seen, the USB hardware being seen directly from the iPad, probably here somewhere. Well, it's the same thing with the MacBook because Apple does the 2 devices, so they support it right away. So what's cool is that everything that is seen by the iPad as a device right away, it also seen by the, by the Mac also. On top of that, the other devices that have drivers like my mixer and my TR-8S also appears on top of that. So not just the one that are native, but also one that have drivers. So it's also pretty cool. So what I have now is I have a bunch of clips and I need to trigger the right sound. So a lot of work went into knowing which device is where it's patched. Sometimes it's the name because it's USB, sometimes it's not. The name would be, if you look here, you're going to have MIDI Timepiece Express. So this is my setup right now. I have the MIDI Timepiece. It's connected to the B-Step Pro on cable number 1. It's connected cable number 3 into the JV2080, which I'm not using for this song. Connector number 4 is connected into the VP9000, the Volca Beats, the Rocket TR-8S on cable number 5. Cable number 6 is the JP8000. Base station is on cable number 7. But some of them that are USB also have a dedicated MIDI device like the A01 and the Base Station 2 and the Micro Freak and the Rocket. These also are connected by USB. So I'm connecting them both through MIDI and USB at the same time. Now, you got to be careful if you do this. You want to have these devices not to resend the information, so you don't have like double triggering. So you make it so that they only listen to one of the two, either the MIDI in or the USB in, to be sure you don't have too much problem. And you try not to accept the response for these to be re-triggered, sent it back in. So what you do is in Ableton, you want to be sure that when the MIDI input is not all input. You select just one device as the main input. In my case, I took the Microlab keyboard as the main input for all the other devices. And it's good because that one doesn't have any MIDI in. It's only MIDI out. So there cannot be any type of feedback MIDI, so it would crash everything. Because you can crash your setup with just MIDI feedback. A device that sends, receive, and what it receives sends it back, and you're going to have a loop that everything crashed to the point that you have to turn off some devices. So you don't want that. That's just not fun. So what I have now is basically the same sequence outside of this, how many times each clips plays, but the same sequence is there. And then I just have to go into each device and pick the right sound. It has been difficult because my first approach was to have kind of the same song. Try to have the same song made with these devices. Well, they don't have the same sounds. Of course, every synth you need to create the sounds, and okay, this one's more like a pad, this one. So I was been playing around, picking up sounds, and try to figure out the one that would fit the most rapidly, have the same sound. And at one point, I said, no, stop about doing that. Do another version that's going to be hardware. And that's when it opened my mind into saying, well, I don't even need to have the same structure, because right now, by playing with it, with these devices, it actually opens up other ideas, which I never thought of when I worked on the iPad. So now I'm again in the process of producing the song, fixing the evolution, changing drops and coming back, and this is going to really change the way the song will feel at the end. So I might have to go back into the iPad and modify it, or the iPad's going to be the first chapter, and then the second chapter is going to be this one, and the last chapter will be another one. So I'm still playing in the concept how I'm going to do it. I'm just going to play it so you have an idea of where I am today, because this is way from being done. It's a totally work in progress. So when I'm starting, sorry, my chair is making noises. So I'm going to start this from the beginning, and I'm going to drive you through which one is playing. So the first one, you have TR8S. The delay is inside it. So clean kick, delay on the hi-hat, and on the snare that's going to come later on. Then I start the A01. That's what I'm playing here. A little bit loud. It has some effect. It's coming from the processor I've got here. So then here I have aux. No, not even, actually. Yeah, some of it. Then we'll start the bass station 2. Another time, bass station 2 again. Things playing. Then kick. I've got these, then I've got this one now. Okay. Oh, click too early. Good. I've got too much stuff now, but got this Micro Freak. I've got a bass station, the kick, separate the hi-hat. That's the A01. That's the JP8000, is it? No, that's a Rocket. That's a Rocket playing. That's a Rocket here. That's the JP8000. What is this one? There's nothing playing. Fine. So the other one, let's go like this. And this one is, which one is playing? I think it's this one. And of found sound that I like for now, but now that I have all these sounds in here, it's too busy. There's like too much stuff happening at the same time. So that's why I'm saying I'm going back into the production mode, into cutting stuff, so I can hear each of them playing. Because what I want is I want these synthesizers to answer each other. Like one's going to say something, and the one's going to respond, and they're going to play back and forth. So I want to create that movement between the two. So it's part of how I react to the song, because I don't write it down. I don't plan it ahead. I don't plan a structure. I just respond to it. I kind of let it become what it has to be. And I always had that vision of I'm really just reacting to where the song wants to be. If it feels that the song wants to go this way, if like I had an idea of saying, let's try distortion on one of the bass, I'm going to go get my pedal and plug it in and see what it's going to be. So maybe tomorrow we're going to have another version where the distortion is taking some space in it, and it's fine, you know. And even the MX1, there's effects in it, and there's time-related effects on it. So I haven't touched that yet. So I'm going to have to play also with this, because even the static loop that becomes, well, static, with this I can create movement and change. So it's going to be also something I'm going to try that I couldn't do if I was just in the iPad, because this is like a dedicated block. So that's it. I'm actually into the working process, the thinking process, the reaction, the listen to it. I'm going to put that aside, listen to it tomorrow. If I hate everything, I'm going to delete it and start from scratch. And if I like it, and I still feel there's some wrong in it, so I'm going to change it and you know, make it evolve. That's the goal. And that's it. So I'm going to try to keep you informed like once a month about where I'm going with this song. And actually I'm going to have 6 of them. So others will probably have other examples. And there's going to be something I want to add some vocals on it, but I don't sing. So I'll play with some stuff. And there's a piece of device I should have in a couple of weeks that I'm going to show you, and you're going to like it. To be honest, now I can still sync my gadget to live and run the two at the same time, and have another version that's going to be an hybrid of the two. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see where this goes. That's it. See you soon. Cheers.